So welcome everyone, welcome to the Max Jancar show. The show where we riff and talk about breakups and everything breakup related and self-help related, specifically tied to people going through a breakup, all the good stuff right here. Today's episode we are talking about 6 harsh, uncomfortable truths about breakups that most people don't want to hear. Yet, it's very important for them to hear these truths because, as uncomfortable as they are important for personal growth, for acceptance of your situation, of the breakup itself, as well as they are simply good to internalize in order to become a more resilient, self-accepting, self-compassionate even person. So, without any further ado, let's get right into them, starting with the first truth on our list. Getting into a rebound relationship can be a good thing. Now, why is this such an important truth that I decided to put it on the list? Because most people don't get that getting into a rebound relationship, it can actually bring about a lot of benefits. Now, despite the many drawbacks of getting into a rebound relationship after a breakup, despite the many drawbacks of rebounding in general, and despite the negative stigma, or just stigma, associated with the whole phenomenon, there is a sunny side to rebound relationships, meaning that a lot of the times, from what I gathered, they can actually help a person grow and become better, specifically in relationships. Now, hear me out, right? Let's say you're really insecure. That's how I like to at least think about it. Let's say that you're really insecure and you find a rebound person that is very much secure. Let's say, to be more specific, you have jealousy issues, and that other person, they don't. But maybe they had jealousy issues in the past, and let's imagine that they have, till now, successfully overcame them. Well, here's where things get interesting. You being in a relationship with that secure person, that security that they hold, that they possess, it starts to rub off on you. Meaning, that person, without even trying, just by virtue that they are secure themselves, they will make you more secure as well. Bonus points if the exact same insecurity that you're dealing with is an insecurity that they've dealt with in the past. So for example, if, like we said, you have jealousy issues, and they had jealousy issues in the past and now they don't have them anymore, they will fully understand what's it like when you have your jealous outbursts, when you call them up in the middle of the night asking, hey, are you okay? Is everything fine? Are you seeing anyone? Are you with anyone? We all know, like, the intention behind those kind of questions is to gauge whether the other person is cheating or if there's something shady going on. Basically, it's a behavior manifested due to one's jealousy. And because that other person that you're now hypothetically in a relationship with, because that person knows what you're going on because they have gone through the same things themselves, they will be way more receptive to, first of all, not seeing you as this perpetually needy, annoying fuck. They will also be way better at simply empathizing with you, understanding what you're going through, and actually consoling you in some way. Basically saying something like, hey, look, I'm alone, it's fine, you don't need to be jealous, you don't need to worry, I love you very much, I totally get what you're going through. Those are the kinds of responses that you can get from a person who went and successfully resolved basically the same insecurities you're dealing with now. By simply having these interactions, which kind of serve as talk therapy, you will resolve your jealousy eventually. Now, another really popular argument for getting into a rebound after a breakup, even though we are usually very much afraid to do so because, you know, this negative stigma around rebound relationships is that they end in a few months usually, like tops, that they're very toxic, that they have a lot of dysfunctional dynamics going on, all that good stuff. Yet, you're still in a relationship, even if that, to some degree, is still going on. So let's say you're in a rebound relationship, and let's say that there are some dysfunctional tendencies in there, nothing major, just something that is constantly a bit of an annoyance. In those cases, there's also the argument, pro-rebound argument, that you're still in a relationship, and that makes you, by my research, by a lot of studies that I read, it makes you way happier and way more mentally and physically healthier compared to people who are actually single and alone. Because the data, as much as I hate to say it, nothing wrong with the single life, I'm just saying that there is a lot of data that shows how people in relationships are just way better off in various important life areas compared to people who are not in a relationship, people who are single. So basically the argument is, yeah, maybe you're in a rebound relationship, which does have the potential of becoming a real relationship if you know some healthy relational skills. You are still in a relationship, and that can be potentially, if you found a semi-ideal partner or even an ideal partner, that is way more beneficial for your internal well-being, for your emotional and mental health, than staying single. Even though, like I said, like I alluded to earlier, there's always a caveat of simply being single and being okay with it. Like there are a lot of people, and I know a few of them, that are single, that are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and they really enjoy their life. So don't get too bummed out about that. Now, moving on to our second truth, is that self-improvement, and I mean constant and continual self-improvement, day in, day out, it can become a subtle form of addiction. So basically what I mean here is that I'm just calling out the person, the typical person who really wants to get past his or her breakup, and to do so, they meditate for hours on end, they do yoga, they journal, they have like 3 different journals, they go on all of these seminars and retreats, and they buy all of these breakup recovery courses and whatnot, and they basically just try to do way too much all at once in order to improve themselves, and they keep doing that over and over and over again, day in and day out, even when they don't need that self-improvement advice anymore. This is what I mean when I say that self-improvement can become quickly a subtle form of addiction. Now yes, disclaimer, it is one of the better, healthier forms of addiction. It would be way worse to be addicted to fucking alcohol, to be addicted to shopping sprees, to be addicted to video games and try to use that as your escape when going through a breakup. But still, an addiction is an addiction, and it by definition makes your happiness contingent upon something external, and thus it disrupts various important areas of your life, and therefore you should probably avoid it. You should probably avoid any sort of addiction. Now, when I say disrupt areas of life, when I say basically addiction diminishes happiness, okay, what do I mean by that? Can I provide maybe some examples? Thanks for asking. Yeah, I can. Examples of self-improvement addicts, right? These are people who, for example, splurge all of their fucking cash on self-help seminars, on retreats, on masterminds, and all that kind of mental masturbation, as I like to call it. These are people who skip their weddings, their friends' or family's weddings and funerals, because they don't want to disrupt their meticulously constructed routine that they're like addicted to. These are people who lose friendships and who never get into healthy relationships in general, romantic or otherwise, because they just have too lofty of expectations. They have too strict boundaries and expectations that hold them back from cultivating any sort of real, raw, realistic relationships. I mean, it's a sad way to go, but I do have one more example here. These are also people who are simply unable to be in a social situation where they go there, they just, talk to people without a certain goal in mind that they're trying to get towards, or without an objective. So to conclude, the line between self-improvement and self-absorption is a fuzzy one. So rather than losing yourself in self-improvement after your breakup, you want to keep this idea in your mind that the whole point of self-improvement, the whole point of breakup recovery advice, in fact, we can even put eggs back advice in here as well, because I know a lot of you listening to this, a lot of you watching this, you guys want your eggs back. The whole point of all of this advice is to stop, to eventually arrive at a point where you, I guess, no longer need it, where it's no longer of use, where you can leave it behind and start a new chapter of your life with or without your ex, despite how you really feel. Like training wheels on a bicycle, like maybe a crutch when you sprain your ankle or break your leg, you want to treat self-improvement advice as this mechanism that heals you, that helps you grow into a better person. But once you've grown, once you've healed and there's no other use for it anymore, you leave it behind, just like that crutch or just like those training little wheels on a bicycle. So I hope that was clear. Now for my third truth, uncomfortable, important truth that you should know, it kind of ties in with this last one, and it's all about the fact that analyzing your relationship constantly has a lot of diminishing returns that negatively impact your emotional and mental well-being. So what I mean is, it's healthy and totally fine to ponder why your relationship didn't work out, to figure out why it didn't. Those things, thinking about them, mulling through them occasionally, that's fine. Where things get a bit more fuzzy is when a person keeps looking for explanations and answers and justifications and validations tied to their reasons for their relationship not working out, for the reasons that they got into a breakup in the first place. That is when we quickly can spiral out of control, we can quickly spiral downward, and we get diminishing returns. We actually feel worse the more we think about our relationship and why certain things happened in that relationship and why things basically just unfolded the way they did. Now, this happened to me a lot. As you perhaps know, I talk about this on my blog, maxjancar.com, a lot, right? But I've been one of those people who have chased and pursued and obsessed about my ex for months after the breakup. I think it was like 9 months in particular. And during that time, I did exactly this. I overanalyzed every single aspect of my relationship to the point where even my therapist had enough of my, I guess, intellectualization of the entire problem, because it just was not productive. It didn't yield any new answers, or at least it didn't yield any useful answers, would be maybe a better way to put it. It did not yield anything useful at all, in fact. It only made me more sulky, moody, frustrated, pissed off. And then that's more work for my therapist to then, take those emotions, point them out for me, and then we unpack them one by one. And it also, it drained my wallet as well, because therapy ain't cheap. So that was a lot of additional headaches for me that I want you to hopefully avoid. So to bring the discussion back to the original point, whenever you feel that you are overanalyzing already your relationship, that you're going over and over and over it, just like 10 times too many, stop yourself, do something else, distract yourself, whatever. I don't care. There's a lot of solutions. Usually what I recommend people who just keep ruminating about anything related to their breakup in general is the move, make, meet method, the 3Ms formula. Some people also call it. I got it from a very smart blogger psychologist Nick Wignall, and it basically goes like this. Whenever you find yourself ruminating, obsessing about why your relationship didn't work out, or just obsessing about your ex or the breakup in general, you want to, as kind of the names imply, you want to do one or more out of three things. Move, make, meet. You want to go and meet a new person. You want to go and meet a friend, meet a family member to get yourself out of the funk, to get unstuck. You can also move, meaning move your body. Go exercise, go take a run, go jogging, do yoga, just take a walk even. It doesn't need to be a very exhausting physical activity. And then there's make, that you can also opt for, which basically means that you want to do something productive or creative. Maybe you write a blog post, maybe you write a page in your journal, maybe you do some hand sculpting thing, whatever your hobby is, maybe you do some painting, some photography. Or when I say productive, I mean maybe you fix your kitchen sink, maybe you rearrange your office or your bedroom or your living room or whatnot. Those kind of things. Play around with bits and pieces of this formula, combine them into your own unique, solution. And that's pretty much it. That's how I would approach rumination in general. So to conclude, to kind of sum up this harsh truth, while it's fine to ruminate on why things failed, it's not okay to obsess about it day in and day out. It's not okay to go deeper than simply maybe looking and examining at why your relationship didn't work out. And whenever you find yourself going downward in that spiral, you want to do something, move, make, meet, for example, to get yourself out of that funk. To not get, to kind of connect this point to my last point, this truth to the last truth, to not get addicted to your ruminations. So to move on to truth number 4, all of your relationship problems have one thing in common, and that's you. Meaning, if this is like your third or fourth breakup, or you simply just consistently find yourself in relationships that suck, that are full of drama, that are full of arguments and unnecessary conflicts, most of the time it's like being on a roller coaster where one day you guys are all lovey-dovey and then the other day you guys hate each other and there's a lot of resentment and you're constantly shifting between these two extremes. If that's the case, if any of that is the case, the problem might not be the people you are seeing, the people you're choosing to be involved with romantically, the people you commit to. The problem is likely you. The fact that these things happen is an indicator that you are suffering from some issue that's either unresolved, unaddressed, not properly resolved, that you're simply overlooking. And you should explore what that issue is if you find yourself in this case, in this situation where this is like your third, fourth, fifth, whatever breakup. Perhaps even with the same person. Now that's a big red flag. So if any of that is the case with you, maybe go and explore your relational history a bit, your love life history. Try to see where you are going wrong. Maybe you're doing something that keeps turning people off. Maybe you're behaving in ways that are actually really unhealthy and immature, but you just don't know about it yet. Even better, do all of these things with a therapist. Let a therapist do their job and help you out when it comes to uncovering your blind spots and then helping you resolve or properly address those blind spots, those emotional issues that keep torpedoing your relationships. Which brings me to this episode's sponsor, online therapy. Online therapy is a service that connects you to qualified, certified therapists from all around the world. Now, here are just 3 simple reasons you should give online therapy a shot. Reason number 1 is flexibility. You can talk to your therapist however you want, whenever you want. So you can use your phone to communicate with them, you can text each other, or you can meet on video calls. Whatever you prefer, basically online therapy helps you tailor your therapy to your lifestyle. Now, reason number 2 is that once you sign up for online therapy, you get a library full of self-improvement resources. Now, this includes worksheets, checklists, actionable exercises, as well as activity plans and more. Now, the third and final reason you should give online therapy a shot is they allow you to switch therapists at any time, no problems whatsoever. As I said many times on this podcast already, the relationship you build with your therapist is of utmost importance. And that's why online therapy has a built-in option that allows you to switch therapists at any time with just a simple click of a button. So you never have to settle for less than the best match. So sign up for online therapy at maxjancar.com/online therapy. That's maxjancar.com/online therapy. And as a welcome gift, receive 20% off on your first month if you sign up using my link. So go sign up for online therapy, and that's that. Now, moving on to truth number 5. Trauma is actually a good thing. Now look, there's this writer, you probably know her, I really admire her work and her in general, Cheryl Strayed. Now, throughout her life, this woman went through a lot of really heinous shit. That's how I'm gonna say. A lot of horrible stuff. A lot of terrible experiences that you and I will probably never go through. What are these experiences? Well, extreme poverty, drug problems, abuse, rape, so sexual abuse, physical abuse as well, obviously. Living in near constant fear of the future, Cheryl Strayed has seen and experienced it all. Yet, despite her struggles, she became a New York Times best-selling author. She even became a renowned podcast host, a political activist, as well as a voice of hope for a bazillion people all around the world who are going through some sort of an adversity, or experience that generates a lot of trauma. Now, what's impressive about Cheryl isn't even the career that she made, the personality, the brand she's built, although, that's pretty awesome as well. No, what's actually super impressive about Cheryl is that she constantly, publicly stated, and kept stating this for years, kind of like a large part of her marketing message was in fact this message. She basically kept stating how her trauma is a good thing, how she's grateful for it, how it made her into a better, more well-rounded, more self-compassionate, more worldly person. So the point of all of this is to say that, yes, trauma itself sucks, even Cheryl would agree, I suppose. However, the aftermath of trauma can be, and often is, like based on my research for 90% of the people, is a source of immense personal growth and satisfaction and happiness. There has been numerous studies, for example, that you can check out with a simple Google search that all prove how people going through a traumatic experience at some point seen improvements in their relationships, improvements in their physical and mental well-being, like mental health. They have even seen improvements in terms of constructing an entirely new, better, more productive, more empowering life philosophy. They have completely rearranged their value structures and their beliefs and their worldviews because of their trauma in a way that serves them positively, in a way that helps them grow and become better people. And I think that, as scary as it is to go through such a period, I think that's really beautiful. And I think that's a message more people should know when it comes to trauma. So yeah, I get you're going through a bunch of trauma now, probably. I assume otherwise you wouldn't be listening to this. But don't whine, don't mope, don't play the victim and, say things to yourself like, why did I deserve this? The world isn't fair. My life isn't fair. My ex is a bitch or an asshole. Don't be like that. Be happy that you have this experience. Be grateful for it even. Accept it. Learn from it. Because the fact is, for most people listening to this, you guys are probably eventually maybe not in a week, maybe it's going to take months for some. You will grow from this. You will get better from this. It does get better, as cheesy as it sounds. So basically, I want you to change your relationship with trauma. I don't want you to feel like it's this boogeyman that you have to avoid, that you have to suppress, that you have to squash. No, accept it, learn from it, be okay with it. Because trauma itself, like I already suggested earlier, is what will eventually strengthen your character, make you happier, make you more resilient, self-compassionate, and self-accepting. And that's pretty fucking awesome, if you ask me. Now to move on to our next and final segment of this podcast. Truth number 6. Finding someone better after a breakup isn't the point. Although you definitely can find such a person. In other words, it's fine to be single after your breakup. It's okay to even stay single, right? Maybe you date a lot. Maybe you have an open relationship. Maybe you have multiple open relationships, right? And even staying single and not really having an active love life in general, that is also fine. These are completely valid lifestyle options. They do not make you unworthy. They do not make you somehow inadequate. They don't make you lesser than someone who's in a relationship or whatnot. And a lot of people, they can make such configurations, lifestyle configurations work. Nothing wrong with that altogether. They're all valid. That's what I want you to first and foremost know. Now, the second thing I want you to know, tied to this point, is that if you are in the market for getting into another relationship, for finding someone else, right? Know that yes, you can eventually find them. You can eventually find someone better than your ex. No, not just different. I am actually referring to finding someone who is in many aspects better than your ex. Because the truth is, your ex is not special, and labeling them as such, that's a literal insult to millions of other people, millions of other beautiful men and women who you would find attractive, who you would find intelligent, who you would find caring and empathetic or whatever you're looking for in a partner, and who, unlike your ex, are actually able, willing, and ready to get into a relationship with you. A relationship from which you will be able to look back at this period and chuckle about the fact that this period that you're going through right now, this whole breakup, boo-hoo period, pain period, is so insignificant in the grand scheme of life. I don't care how old you are and what kind of a life phase you are. Life's long. You probably still have a lot of time left to rebuild your life anew, to find someone else or not, or just accept the fact that you will stay single and you're okay with that and you're happy being single. You have time for that. And you don't want to focus too much on this breakup and this painful period, because when we stretch your life's timeline far enough, it just becomes likely very unimportant. So that's the thought I'm going to leave you with. That's the idea I'm going to leave you with for this podcast. Thanks for tuning in and take care.